Good morning, party people. How are you guys doing today?
Hello. All good. How you doing? You feeling any better?
Um, a little bit. I sound worse than I feel.
Oh, bless. Gonna send you a hug.
Thank you. While I'm letting people in, does anyone, I know Estriana and I had a really great conversation this morning. Um, who else like had some light bulb moments yesterday and wants to share? Anyone want to share something yesterday?
Yeah, can you hear me, Laurel?
Yeah, hey Mike.
So I really did the exercise about the floor and the ceiling, clients or prospects. It was really, really enlightening. So I'm very glad that you insist on us doing this. And at the end of the day, you have to wrestle with things and spend time thinking about them, whether it's your ecosystem or the exercises. So it turned out that it's not a question of income level, it's not a question of education. There were several factors, and it was quite helpful for me to really take the time to think deeply. For example, yes, there is their financial independence in terms of them being able to make the payments, but then there's also how they spend money on other solutions. How urgent is them for them to find clarity? How much are they being impacted by indecision and so on? So those were factors that were much more meaningful and that enabled me to really pay attention to in terms of how to address and what to pay attention to get the floor plans and hopefully also to create different angles for the floor versus the ceiling. So light bulb moments.
Yeah, I love that because I think sometimes we focus so much on our process, we forget that even though people might be at the same stage, they're wanting different things and they're thinking different things, right? And so we can't treat those people as exactly the same, right? Like, especially like when we were talking about, the differences between like Alex and I, right? Whenever I was using that example between Alex is undecisive, she's not sure, she just had a baby, she doesn't want to leave her husband. Me, I already know I want to leave, but we might be in the same level as income and all of that those other things, but emotionally and in our decision making, we're in two totally different places, and so we can't be treated exactly the same. That's why it's important that we know, like, I want to say yesterday Tina said it, like we really do have to become obsessed with our clients and talking to them and having more in-depth conversations because that is where we actually find a lot of this information. I think a lot of us, let me let more people in, because I think a lot of us look at our process and we're like, we think like, oh, this is the process, right? But the more that we talk to people, the more that we're going to find out that, oh, my process is missing this, or this is part of my process that my ideal clients don't even care about, right? And so that's why it's super important that we zoom out and not only promote our entire process, but like all of the different pieces of the process, because that's what's going to make you guys stand out. I don't know about anyone here. Who here is it? There anyone here that's like making multiple seven figures right now? Probably not, right? Like, and so like if we want to compete, like no one wants to compete with Alex Harmozy. I don't want to compete with Alex Harmozy. I don't want to compete with Dan Henry, right? Like I want to compete with the people who are on my level. And so the way that you have to do that is by actually going smaller in the problem solving, right? No one's going to come to me to solve their multi seven figure business problems, nor do I want to help anyone solve that, right? So, what I want to do is I want to compete with the people who are on my playing field and the people that I can absolutely for sure solve their problems. So, I'll tell you guys a little story. So, whenever I first started, my background is in television. And I was doing these $5 ads to launch television shows. I didn't know what a webinar was. I didn't know what a sales funnel was. I didn't know what any of this stuff was. And so whenever I was going live, I wasn't teaching things that were outside of my scope of expertise. I literally started out just teaching people how to launch a $5 ad to grow their business. That's all I knew how to do, right? But because I started small, there was a lot of business owners that were like, "Oh, this $5 ad, that seems palatable. I think I could do that." Right? I wasn't selling this, I'm going to increase your ad spend by, your ROAS by all of this stuff. I was like, I'm literally going to help you run a simple $5 ad that is going to get more customers to walk into your door. Because a lot of you guys are like, "Well, how did you create content around just one $5 ad?" It was implementing like the stuff that I was showing you guys yesterday, the different variations on that same way to do that same $5 ad. And so you can literally take a single tactic and build an entire business around that one single tactic. I think a lot of you guys are trying to make your stuff, big because you think that it's too small. But honestly, like if you're going to compete, the small things are the things that are gonna sell what you do. Does that make sense? Because like if I'm looking at Tina right now. If there's a real estate agent, right? And they're maybe like in a mid city market, right, with only like 30,000 people, and Tina is teaching, "Hey, I'm going to show real estate agents how to get their phone ringing with seller leads using a $5 ad, and on average 10 sellers will call you for, for your services." Otherwise, this other real estate coach or whatever is trying to sell them on this big overall, "We're going to grow your real estate business from 6 figures to 7 figures." What do you think is more palatable for that one business owner, right? They're probably going to call Tina and say, "Hey, I want to learn this little $5 ad that's going to grow my real estate business." And so I think people discount the fact that people will pay a lot of money to solve a very small problem. As a matter of fact, the more specific the problem, the more sometimes they'll pay. Does that make sense? Like a lot of times, like, and Nick always like talks about this all the time. He's like, sometimes like if you sell this huge thing, right? People will be like, "Well, I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that. I'm not going to pay all of this just for that one piece of information." Right? They start looking at your entire program as, "Well, I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that." And so they start devaluing what you're actually offering because they don't need the entire thing. And so they're like, "Well, what if I just pay for this one thing?" And you're like, "Well, no, you like that's not how this works." And so that's why it's easier to sell smaller things, like smaller tactics and smaller strategies. And then when they get into it, they actually see everything that they actually get and they value it a whole lot more. Is there any other takeaways from yesterday? Well, I'm still letting people in and we'll get rolling here in the next 5 minutes.
I this is Emma.
Yeah. Hey, Emma.
Um, One of the things that I uh, really right now is very clear where is the floor and the ceiling, and I also I see that those are the goals that we have for the business. So then that's very clear. So one thing is I have said that I sell high level. I don't go by saying I sell high level. So I just pick one little thing that is reviews. But I don't want, my thing is that I don't want to teach how to do that. I sell the service as a system. I want to do the service for the small business owners. And so that's my thing. I'm right now I'm doing a video a day. So every day for the last 20 days, I have been doing a video. And I noticed that I'm getting people asking for the value bomb, but I haven't been able to book a call yet. But I noticed that from the last 20 days that I have been doing a video, I'm getting people. So which is really good because before I didn't get anybody.
And something to think about too is like, and just total transparency, like it was crickets the first couple of months that I did videos. Like, this is not something that, you know, is gonna happen overnight. Like, I was probably like 5 months in before really people started engaging with my stuff. But one of the things that I noticed was people were actually going back into my video archive. And so some of my old videos started popping up on the news feed because more people started engaging with them. And so we can't discount that because, you know, this is something that Nick said. I bring up Nick a lot, but, you know, Nick is who I spend most of my time with. He always says, your most sophisticated buyers will never engage with you until they're ready to buy. And your most sophisticated buyers will sit there and they will watch video after video after video. And so that's why I always tell people, if your power content is getting watched, if your power content is getting the views, that means something, right? Because if you think about someone who's watching 100% of a 5-minute video or someone who's just putting in an email address to get your free thing, who do you think is going to be a more sophisticated lead? Probably the person that's sitting there consuming a bunch of your content over time. As a matter of fact, most of the people who give me the most money, I've never heard of them in my life. They just sit there and they binge watch and they binge read all of my content. And then they just show up one day and they're like, here I am. I'm ready to work with you. And I'm like, cool. And I'm like, are you familiar with my ecosystem? Oh yeah. Like, I've literally watched almost every single one of your YouTube videos like twice. And I'm like, oh shit, that's awesome. So you can't get discouraged. Like, people are watching, and your most sophisticated buyers, like I said, they're not going to ask for a value bomb. They're literally just going to go straight to your DM and be like, hey, I've been watching your stuff. How could I work with you? Let's see, I'm just reading some of the comments.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I will say this too. I'll add something on to what Emma was saying. So this is why I always tell people, like, don't be afraid to show people the process, even if they're never going to do it themselves, because even if they don't want to do it themselves, there's still value in that because you're showing them that you know how to do it. Right? There's this guy that Alex Harmozy was roasting his process to get people into his school group, and he does AI automations. And during the interview that Alex was during the roast that Alex was doing, Alex was playing some of their YouTube videos and giving them feedback on it. And I was like, man, this guy is doing some really cool things. Even though I will never set up all of these AI agents, I'm just going to pay someone to do it. The way that this guy explained what he was doing and even showing the tech, I was like, I was kind of glazing over when he was doing the tech, but what he was saying as he was doing the tech was super relevant to me. And I'm like, man, if I ever need any of this stuff, this is the guy that I'm going to go to set it up because I trust that he knows what he's talking about. Right? I'm not someone who's going to go and watch that video and set it up. I mean, there are people in his audience that I'm sure are DIYers and they will go and set it up. But I'm the type of person that's just going to email Jack Roberts, I think that was his name, and be like, hey, can you set up these AI agents for me? So does that make sense, Emma? So even though you're not selling Go High Level, just the fact that you're showing people how you're using the tool, because this is something that I tell my students all the time, you never want to be known for a tool. That was one of the first things that Nick told me. You don't want to be known for Facebook ads. You want to be known for online marketing. Because what if Facebook ads goes away? Right? And so, Emma, you don't want to be known for Go High Level. That's just a tool that you use to do the thing.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to mention it. I just want to say that it's a system that I do.
Yeah, I mean, you could just say, hey, any CRM system will do this. I just happen to use Go High Level, but most of these systems look exactly the same, and that's all you have to say.
Okay, okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That was very helpful.
Yep, absolutely. So let's just kind of do like a quick refresh, because we had a really great question. yesterday about what I was talking about as far as like top of funnel content versus middle of funnel content. So I'm going to start today off just kind of with a refresh. So the way that I look at my content for top of funnel versus middle of funnel is you have to remember that top of funnel content is cold traffic, right? Top of funnel means these people have never heard of you. So they don't trust you, they don't like you. And so what I want to do with my top of funnel content is I want to present the problem that I solve as clear as possible and as fast as possible, right? So that's why our top of funnel power content is going to be 3 to 5 minutes, right? But our middle of funnel power content could be as long as we need it to be. So we do have power content videos that we can send to our warm traffic that will be longer, right? Because it'll give us time to tell the story, or it'll give us time to run through the numbers, or it'll give us time to flesh out some of the anthropological elements around why people don't get results based on human behavior. And so the way that I look at what I do as far as top of funnel content versus middle of funnel content, I like to use out of the 4 A's, right? We did analytical, actionable, anthropological, aspirational. I like to take right here the actionables, and I like to go back to this. I call it the 15 pieces of content exercise, right? A lot of you guys have seen me do this. And so what I'm doing is I'm breaking down the actionables for each of these steps. Now, each of these steps are going to solve a very specific problem, right? Yesterday, I took you guys through this framework of what is it that we're doing, right? What is the step right here? What is the problem that it solves? What is the mechanism that we're using in order to solve that problem? And what is a free resource that we can give away? So whenever I'm doing my top of funnel power content, each of these pieces right here are going to be its own top of funnel content, but I'm going to use the actionable version. And then for my middle of funnel content, I'm going to go through the same pieces of content, except I'm going to go through a time objection lens on one. I might do an effort objection in another, and I'm just going to go down this entire list. So instead of having one piece of content, I now have 8 different pieces of content from that same topic. Does that make sense? Does everyone understand that? Is that clear?
Can you say that again, please? I'm wrapping my brain around what you're saying, but can you say it was clear, but it was mud?
Yes, absolutely. So this 15 pieces of content exercise that I had you guys do yesterday, and you're going to see how we're going to actually use it today to build offers from this. But what I'm doing is I'm taking the actionables, the how-to, right? So for this step right here, this is basically showing people how to close 20% of their sales calls using a sales framework that I call CASE, right? So if I'm doing this for cold traffic, I'm literally going to make this piece of content short and sweet. And I'm just going to say, hey, if you're closing less than 20% of your sales calls, give me the next 5 minutes and I'm going to walk you through a 4-step sales framework that I call CASE that will allow you to increase your closing rate to 20 to 30%. And I'm just going to jam for 3 to 5 minutes on that because people don't know me. They don't trust me. So I'm going to go 3 to 5 minutes tops. Once they are watching 25% or more of that video, then I can send them longer form content, right? Because think about this. If I show them this video, they're going to have objections. Well, I don't have time to learn that framework. I don't know. I'm not a salesperson. I don't know if my effort is going to be worth it because I just don't like sales tactics. They might be like, I don't have what do I have to give up in order, I want to spend time with my kids. This is yet just another thing that I'm going to have to do in my business, right? The sacrifice objective. Money. How much do I have to spend or how much do I have to pay to learn that sales process, right? So that's 4 different types of videos that I can do with that same topic. Then I could run it through the analytical lens. Well, you've sold me on the process, but I want to see the numbers. So I could break down some of my client success stories and do an analytical version and maybe pull 3 of my most successful client stories. Then I might also hit from the story. I might pull 3 of my success stories and tell the aspirational how, well, Tina, when she first came to me, she was like, Laurel, real estate agents aren't falling for these sales tactics that a lot of these gurus are teaching, right? And so I tell the story. And then anthropological, human behavior. A lot of people think they have limited beliefs around what sales calls actually be, and it's because as kids, we were focused on XYZ, right? Then I go more into the anthropological. Does that make sense? So instead of having 1 piece of content, now I've got 8 pieces of content. And it's going to hit every single pocket of our audience. Good. I'm seeing all the thumbs up. Awesome. So Kylie just said, so is the resource a GPT template that builds their case framework or just a different GPT? So this GPT is the template for that. So you always want the value bomb to connect to what you just taught. Like you always want to speed up the process. So Wendy just asked, are the long form content pieces suitable as Hot 7? Absolutely, guys, think about this. Your Hot 7 is literally just your best 7 pieces of content. So I'll tell you guys a little story. The way that I came up with the Hot 7 goes back to my college days whenever I worked at the radio station. I was a radio DJ. I was Lauren Turner, your super 70s fly girl. DJ Fly Girl is what they called me, but my radio name was Lauren Turner. And every single night at 7 o'clock, I hosted the Hot 7 at 7. And it was the most expensive for advertisers to get onto my show because we had the most listeners at that time because I played the best 7 songs of the day. Right? Yeah, Kylie says in Hawaii we had the Hot 8 at 8. Yes. Right? And so that's where I just named the Hot 7 at 7, just based upon that. I just take the 7 best boosted posts that I do and I just move them into an evergreen ad sequence. That's all the Hot 7 is your 7 best pieces of content. Okay. So, let's go back to our floor and our ceiling. Okay? Mike asked me this question yesterday, and I told you guys today we're going to go a little bit deeper on this. So, let's take a look at this circle right here, right? And let's say that we are targeting Russell Brunson's audience, right? For those of you guys who don't know, he's the founder of ClickFunnels, right? And so if I am targeting Russell Brunson, right? And I have my floor clients and my ceiling clients, do you think that both my floor clients and my ceiling clients would follow Russell Brunson? Yes or no? Yes, absolutely. Russell goes wide market, right? He teaches people how to start a business and grow it using ClickFunnels, but then he markets to the more sophisticated, hey, ClickFunnels is one of the best CRMs, right? So if this entire circle is Russell Brunson's audience, and I'm trying to get both my ceiling clients and my floor clients, right? Follow me here. And I know that my floor clients need my entire system from start to finish, but my ceiling clients might only need the second part of my program. What do you think that I have to do here in order to exploit this entire audience? Have you ever placed an ad and your audience size was like 2 million and you look at your ads and your reach is only like 200,000? And so many people come to me and they're like, Laurel, why, if my audience size is 1 point something million, why is Facebook only showing my ads to 200,000? It's because Facebook is optimizing based upon the people who are engaging with your content. If I do a piece of content here, and to answer Sabrina, no, it doesn't have to be video. You could do power posts, right? Which are written versions of your power content. So let's say I do a video here for my ceiling client. Facebook's only going to show it to this percentage of what I'm filling in the circle. So even though all of Russell Brunson's audience might be 2 million, it might only show it to 200,000 people right here because it's only relevant to those 200,000 people in Russell Brunson's audience. If I do a piece of video content and it talks about validating an offer, it's only going to show it to that percentage of Russell Brunson's audience who are engaging with that video because that's the only piece of content that's relevant to that audience. And so what we want to do and why this 15 pieces of content exercise is relevant is we want to be able to create content that's going to fill this entire circle so that we can exploit that audience. Okay? Now, what else? I'm going to quiz you guys. What else do we know about like this entire audience? It doesn't matter whether it's Russell Brunson, Oprah, anyone. What do we also know about this audience? I'm looking for someone to be a freaking rock star right now. Some people, there's a small percent, I'll give you guys a hint. There's a small percentage of people who are this, and a much larger percentage of people. Yes, Mike. Yes. There's 2 to 3% of people who are ready to buy, and 97 to 98% of people who are your ideal clients, but they're not ready to buy, right? So your offers are going to go here, and your power content pieces are going to nurture those other people so that it's going to build a conveyor belt of people that are going to consistently be ready to buy. Does that make sense? Or am I going too fast? Like this training's for you guys. We have a very small group here. So if you guys are confused, don't be afraid. There's no dumb questions. There's only lazy questions. Awesome. Makes sense? Okay. So if we go back to this, right? I know we're getting a little messy, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go down here, right? So we'll start this again here so that I have a little clean thing. So we're going to break down this exercise here, right? So we've got the big problem up here, right? Which is usually a situation. For me, it's that people are stuck at 2 to 3 times their return on ad spend, right? And so from here, this is the big problem. There's going to be 3 bigger, like big problems, right? And so if people aren't getting 2 to 3 times their return on ad spend, or they're stuck there, there's 3 big problems that keep them stuck there. One is they don't have an optimized funnel. They don't have an ads ecosystem. And they have a retention and referral problem, right? Which is usually churn. Okay. We're going to go super slow here. For the last several years, Joel Irway has taught people how to write power offers based upon these big problems, right? Because if you break this down into, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, I could base this on, hey, if I can, if I offer to build you a funnel that on average gets 2 to 3 times your return on ad spend, would you take me up on that offer, right? You guys are following me? Everyone familiar with Joel Irway's power offer that I teach in the program? So the way that I would write that power offer is I would utilize these different steps. Hang on. Sorry about that. I would break down each of these steps and turn them into benefits and the things that we don't want to do, right? Which would make up the power offer for this one, right? So we would have one power offer here. We would have one power offer here. And we would have one power offer here. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. What I have found to be super helpful lately, especially for those who are starting out, is actually creating offers that are based upon these individual problems, right? So, for example, I had a student who was teaching people how to automate a lot of their business, like operations. And in one of the steps of solving the big problem, because we ran, we'll automate your business within the next 7 days and blah, 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 blah. And we weren't getting any hits. And so what we did was I was like, what if we test a power offer that literally just solves this one small problem here? And it just so happens that they can turn around SOPs within 24 hours. And we ran that as a power offer. And guess what happened? Tons of phone calls booked for that. So now, right, we not only have 3 ways that we can write power offers or offers, we could also write them here. And we could either use them to get people over the phone, or what else can we do? We can create content. Yep. Comment below. Yes, we can use them for value bombs. So, essentially, we're using this one exercise to write our power offers. We're using it to write our value bombs. We're using it to write all of our power content, which turns into power posts. We're using it to plug in all of these different lenses from Stealth Influence to write all of our retargeting content. So we pretty much have everything that we need from this one exercise in order to nonstop sell our offer. Does this make sense? So Liz asked, did they then upsell to the whole program or just sell the 24-hour SOP? They got on the phone with them to sell the 24 SOP offer and then upsold them into the rest of their stuff, because once they saw what they could do, they upsold them through that service. So basically what we did was we created, we sold the micro offer on the phone call that then sold the core offer. But if you guys like think about in true Laurel style, what else could you do? What else could we do? Yeah. Dana, you hit it right on point, right? This is for the people that want it done for you. The resource could actually be a do it yourself, like showing them how to actually do it yourself, because all they were doing was using a simple software to turn around those SOPs. You see how the same content attracts two different types of people, but it's all the same. Right? You could even do this as your messenger conversation. Does that make sense? Like this Loom video right here could be that do it yourself SOP solution, right? Because here's how that conversation could go, right? Let's say they do the diagnostic and they're like, "Oh, like you really need SOPs. Here, let me show you a quick Loom video how we do that in-house." And they send this Loom video, right? But what does every good value bomb do? Reveal the next problem. Yes. So in this Loom video, we're not only showing them how we do it in-house, we're like, yeah, but here's the deal. You can have all of these SOPs, but in our experience, once you give these SOPs to your team, they're not going to implement them. We see this problem, and this problem. Would it be worth a 15-minute call so that we could show you how we actually get our team members to adopt these SOPs as fast as possible so that you can increase their productivity like as soon as in the next 7 days? Because on average, it takes 60 days for a team to really adopt SOPs. Would it be worth 15 minutes if we could speed up that process in the next 7 days? You see how we're doing this? Like, do you see how like every single part, I've designed this marketing system to where we're just doing the same thing over and over again in different ways. Jasper, I just told you how we would do that. Like, I literally just said, if you send them this free Loom video, right? I'll do it one more time, okay? Because I really, really, really want you guys to understand. So if I'm giving away this SOP, right, in Messenger, right? Every single good value bomb, which is what this Loom video is a value bomb. Every great value bomb needs to reveal the even bigger problem. Okay? And this comes down to knowing who your ideal clients are and what they value, right? So what my clients did was they sold this Loom video. They gave them a Loom video, right? So you're having the conversation, and inside the Loom video, you're actually selling them to the next step of the 15-minute call, right? So in the Loom video, they said, hey, here's how our team internally does this, right? But the problem that you're going to run into when you give your team these SOPs is they are not going to adapt to them very quickly because of XYZ problem. As a matter of fact, on average, it takes about 60 days for an entire team to truly adopt the SOP process. But we've literally created an onboarding system to where we can literally train your team to adopt them in 7 days. if we could get your team to literally save X amount of time and to be more efficient and get X amount done, how much would that add on to your business revenue? If we could do it in 7 days instead of 60, would it be worth a quick 15-minute call so that I can walk you through that process? You see how I did that, Jasper? But but you see how much we have to know about our ideal clients' bigger problems? Like, you have to get really good at this because you have to sell them on what is this has to reveal the next bigger problem. Otherwise, you will never sell them onto even getting onto a phone call with you. And that's what a lot of you guys are missing, is you're not getting this part right here. Yeah. And so, yes, so Jasper just said, and once they're on that call, you sell them on a high ticket offer in 15 minutes. Yes, if you have done your job. Yes. I know most people say, oh, you need a 60-minute call. Your most sophisticated buyers do not want to be on a 60-minute call. Your most sophisticated buyers want to see the thing and be like, yes, send me the link to buy. Daniel.
So, hi. So my question is this. When you send the value bomb, the loom, the optimized loom via messenger, are you giving them the new value bomb at that moment and then revealing the bigger problem and then offering a 15-minute loom video? Or are you offering the 15-minute loom video to say, hey, this is not really your concern. What you need to focus on is eating more carbs. And once you do that, this will happen. So are you open to having a 15-minute conversation so I could tell you what kind of carbs and when to eat the carbs and blah, 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 blah?
Yeah, so great question. So for you, your value bomb, I'll just use it as an example. Let's just say Daniel is giving away a macro calculator, right? Let's just say that's the value bomb. And Daniel's like, hey, I see that you commented on my post and you want this macro calculator, but here's the thing. 90% of the people that I talk to are actually following the wrong diet. So can you fill out the numbers in this macro calculator? And then I will shoot you a Loom video of what I recommend. Right? Now, some of you guys, that might not work out because once you do a diagnostic, you might be like, oh, this value bomb that they're asking for does not align with their most immediate constraint. I want to be absolutely clear. Our goal of this conversation is to help them identify what their most immediate constraint is. And so we need to figure out what that is inside that conversation. And that's what a lot of you guys aren't doing. You're wanting to give them that value bomb when 90% of people who ask for that specific value bomb, that will not solve their most immediate constraint. Does that make sense, Daniel?
Yes.
Yep. And then once Daniel has the numbers in that calculator, he's got the data that he needs to send a Loom video back and be like, dude, just based on these numbers that you put inside this calculator, no matter what type of workout plan you do, you're never going to lose weight because of this, this, and this. Would it be worth a 15-minute call if I could help you restructure the way that you're eating so that you could actually start to lose weight? You see how I did that?
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
And so Jasper, he says, I understand the transition to the call. I don't understand how that converts. I've always done 60. Why are you stuck on a 60-minute call? Can you unmute yourself? I would love to have this conversation because I think there is a limiting belief that people think that they need a 60-minute call.
Yeah, just because I was coached to do it that way, and I've gotten to a six-figure business that way, and I don't know any other way of doing it.
Could I ask you a question?
Sure.
With the way that you were coached to do it that way, was it simply just a strategy to run cold traffic to a funnel?
Yeah, it wasn't like the nurturing ecosystem that's going on now, no.
That's but do you see, like, if you have a nurturing ecosystem, my clients, I sell my high ticket stuff without even a phone call because of my ecosystem. That makes the difference. Yes, like that. And this is why I wanted to have this open dialogue. If you're sending cold traffic to a funnel, Yeah, of course. Like people don't know, like, and trust you. They just watched a VSL. Of course, it's going to be hard to sell them, and you're going to have to spend 60 minutes over on the phone. But if someone's been watching my content and I'm doing this diagnostic correctly, I don't need I don't need 60 minutes to sell. How many of you guys, if I told you right now, I will set up your entire ads ecosystem and I'll charge you $3,000? How many of you guys would be like, cool, just send me the link? Right? Do you need to get on a 60-minute call with me? Why?
Well, it's because they've seen so much of your stuff in the ecosystem so strong, right? That if I've been in your
Yeah, like there's
program,
nothing,
if
there
I've
would
been in
be
your program
nothing.
8 weeks, my ecosystem is probably nowhere near yours. So then if I start trying to put people towards a 15-minute call and saying it's 2,800 for a 16-minute fitness program, they're going to say, who the hell are you? So, so I need to like get to that point probably before I start going for that speed of close on a 50-minute. That's my assumption anyway.
100%. So my fitness guy that I go to for all my stuff, Jay Jackson, he's one of my students, and so I've been seeing his content. I literally just went to him and was like, "Hey, how much to work with you?" He sent me an invoice for $3K and I just paid it. I didn't even need a call. Why? I'd been consuming his content. I trusted him. I knew he knew his shit. Because if you've been following someone, what are you going to talk about on a 60-minute call? Well, like what's there to talk about in 60 minutes?
All of their reasons as to why they need to be doing it and their pain points and all those sorts of things. Selling on emotion, right? But it takes a while to get that emotion out of people.
But if you're doing all of that through the content strategy that I just laid out, there's nothing left to
Yeah,
talk about because they've already
they've
consumed
sold
all of that
themselves,
stuff.
right? So yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so no, that was a really great question. And that's why I love this system, because I am not that person. I don't want to do Zoom calls. Like I don't want to do sales calls at all. Like I did sales calls whenever I first started, and I hated it because people would waste my time. They just wanted to talk to me. They didn't want to buy. They just wanted to talk. The people that buy from me, they don't want to talk. They just want to pay. But it takes some time because there's a whole bunch of things that I learned from actually talking to people. But I also learned that I don't need to hop on a Zoom call to talk to people. I just talk to them in Messenger and get all of the information that I need right there without having to hop on Zoom.
Okay, so like one last thing, if obviously I've been doing it one way for a long time. I've not been doing your ecosystem for a very long time at all. How would one transition from the way I've been doing it to the way you've been doing it without the danger of completely going under because you're trying to sell people a 15-minute calls the entire time and it's not working because your ecosystem isn't strong enough?
You don't change anything until you start selling people in Messenger, and then you're like, oh, I don't have to hop on these calls anymore, and then you get rid of them one by one. You micro-step. We never make big leaps and bounds. Like I would literally try, like, so what type of funnel are you running, Jasper?
Right now, I'm just doing your stage 1.
So you're just doing stage 1. That's fine. By the way, most fitness experts, they stay in phase 1. That's all they do. That's all most fitness experts need. But most of the time we can sell them onto a quick 15-minute call. If like the way that I was just telling Daniel, like if you have enough data to be able to truly help someone, and you can gather as much information through that diagnostic process and send them a quick Loom video, it's typically not that hard to sell them onto a quick call. And then it's more of an enrollment call than it is a strategy call.
Yeah, fair enough. So maybe I'll see the signs that it's ready to happen rather than try and force it. Right?
Yes, never force anything. Like that's a big thing. I never, like, anytime I get someone into Lean on Laurel, I don't change anything about what they're doing. The first thing that we do is we implement the entire ecosystem. And then we take a look at, okay, once the ecosystem is running, how can we optimize what you're doing? And so, for instance, like I have taken a lot of my students off of their sales calls, but it's never like an overnight thing, because you never want to stop doing the thing that's working. You always want to optimize and be able to test things that replace the thing that you don't want to do anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yep.
Cheers, Laurel.
Mr. Mike.
Yeah, I just wanted to step in to reinforce this point that you just discussed with Jasper, because I currently am doing 60-minute calls, but it's because I need to educate people because right now I just have one power offer ad, which is not even a video, it's just text. So I need to build in that 60 minutes calls, all the things that the ecosystem would build before me, the likability, the knowability, the trust, explaining them the process. And also one of the things that I got from the latest Power Funnel training that you just put out is in terms of the thank you pages, make sure that not only they see like the 2-3 minute, like, thank you for booking a call and make sure you show up, but also watch the process, how it works. So basically what you do with your ecosystem and even with that kind of post-booking funnel is make sure that they have the information beforehand so that they are already educated and they have seen you and you don't have to repeat the same thing over and over again. But again, it's a question of putting those things in place before you can bring the duration of the call down. So just to reinforce, but I thought hopefully, it may give some ideas to other people as well.
That was awesome. Thank you, Mike. So do you guys kind of want to like see like kind of like the evolution of how we kind of get there? Like from phase one, like how we get from like phase one all the way? Would that be helpful for you guys to see? Like just kind of like be able to see it visually? Okay.
Laurel,
Yeah.
can I ask a question before you show that?
100%.
Can you just give a quick example of like that same example that you used before a couple of people asked of that quick like that SOP example for someone that's doing either like education or coaching? Just an
Yep.
example of like something that's adjacent to that example.
Absolutely. So everything has to start. Actually, let's do this. Okay. Everything starts with the problem, right? So let's actually, you guys want to see me do this in real time with Dana? Let's actually work through this, okay? So we've got, right, this framework that I've showed you guys, right? So let's pick one problem from your methodology.
Mm-hmm. One problem is that that their books are not getting like a lot of reviews or people are not buying the books.
Just stick with one, right? Books
Okay.
not
Mm-hmm.
getting reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what is your solution?
The solution is for them to, you may say I'm saying the mechanism wrong, but to write what I call an addictive or binge-worthy novel.
What is so basically you're trying to solve that's a big problem, right?
It
Writing a novel
is.
not as, so if the book's not getting reviews, I mean, that's an obvious answer, right? Do you have like a tactic or something for them to get reviews?
Well, no, that's one of the reasons why they wouldn't be. Well, I mean, I do have a system to be able to help them to get reviews, like a process, you mean?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
what I'm asking for this is I want you to, did you do this exercise last night?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so what I'm looking for is this piece, one of these pieces right here. So one of the steps.
Oh, okay. Let me bring it up. I'm sorry.
So, yep, no, you're fine.
And this is gonna let me know if I did it right. Okay.
Yep,
So one of my
absolutely.
steps. Okay. And I have your name here. Okay, so one of my steps, Laurel. Here we go. Okay, I have, and I can show it. Okay, one step is, here we go. I'm trying to find an easy one.
Yep.
Develop a store. Okay. I'm gonna say it and tell me if I need an easier one. But develop a story that can support a flagship series.
Okay. And what is the problem that step solves?
That step solves that. It helps that if they don't have books that naturally lead into the series that cause people to go from one book to another.
Yeah, they have a whole bunch of one-off books.
Yes.
Okay. So, just so you guys know, we're going to work our way from, I'm going to help Dana work from phase 1 all the way to phase 2. You guys ready for this? Okay. So
I'm so nervous. Go ahead. I'm ready though.
This is phase 1, right? So let's
Okay.
pretend Dana doesn't have, right? Like she's just starting out with my ecosystem.
I am.
Okay. So the problem is they have a bunch of one-off books, right?
Right.
So the step is develop a story for a flagship series, right? So
Mhm.
so the solution is the story, right? What is the mechanism that you're using for them to do that?
The mechanism is that there's a framework. I have workshops. I have templates.
What is the one mechanism to
One
solve?
mechanism is a template.
Okay. And what is a resource that will accelerate them solving that problem?
I have a like a ChatGPT prompt.
Okay. Good. I like that. I like that flow. So this is the one piece of content, right, that she could do. So what she would do is she would do a conversion multiplier, right? That would say something like, "Hey, this chat GPT prompt will literally help you create an entire flagship series for your next novel so that people don't only buy one, but they'll buy multiple, right? Drop a line below if you want it." Everyone on the same page how that happened? Okay. So she does her conversion multiplier and she's getting comments, right? So now she moves them to a messenger conversation, right? Step 1 is she tells them why she's messaging them, right? Because people squirrel. They'll be like, who the hell is this Dana chick and why is she messaging me? Even though they might have we want to always remind them. And then 2, we want to start the diagnostic. This is where I find that using multiple choice works, right? Because sometimes people don't know how to answer stuff. Okay. So remember, what does every good value bomb do?
It reveals another problem, a
Okay.
bigger problem.
Yep. So once they have this resource, what is the bigger problem that it reveals?
That they are not writing their novels to market.
Why are they, what is the, give me a little bit more context on that.
Writing a novel to market ensures that you have an intersection between what you're writing and what readers are looking for.
Okay. Okay. So whenever you're doing the diagnostic process, it's super important that you're always keeping the end problem in mind, right? Like this is the bigger problem that we're wanting to solve for them. We need to figure out what is their most immediate constraint with writing, right? Because even though they asked for this, that might not be their most immediate constraint with writing their next novel.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
So that's what we need to find here, right? And so through different types of conversations, right? You're going to figure out what the actual problem is that people actually need solving, right? So what is on this right here on one of your bigger problems? Like what is one of the bigger problems that this is a step of?
The bigger problem that's a step of is, well, it's writing a market aligned novel.
Okay. So this is what we're trying. This is the big step right here, right?
Yes.
So whatever we say in this conversation and whatever you put in this Loom video needs to solve, right? Whatever you're having whatever you've figured out is their most immediate constraint, but it also needs to reveal this,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Now, once we reveal this and all of the steps that people are actually going wrong at, and you've spoken to dozens of people, now you're able to produce a power offer, right? Because we're going to learn within these conversations, right? This conversation right here, what people don't want to do, what people like, and the troubleshooting that needs to get done in order to make that happen. So now, once she's had 100 plus messenger conversations, Dana's like, whew, okay, I know what people want from me. It's this piece right here. She then can turn that into a power offer ad that goes straight to an application to get on a call with her to help them solve that problem. Right? So Sean just said the diagnostic, then based on what they say, send a different Loom. Yes. So that's what I'm trying to get you guys to understand, that when people ask for a value bomb, if you do this diagnostic correctly, most of the time, the value bomb that you first offered is not going to solve their most immediate constraint. So my value bomb strategy, the whole idea is just to intercept a conversation with a lead. That's it. It's not to actually give them the value bomb. As a matter of fact, I don't want to give them the value bomb half the time because I haven't created it. Remember the phantom bomb strategy, right? Just make up some resources that you can have, and if people don't ask for it, you don't have to create it.
Can I ask a couple of follow-up questions, or are you?
Yeah.
Okay, so so I'm new to your ecosystem, so this is perfect. But what if the thing that I'm talking about I already have? Would the steps still be the same? So
The steps will still be the same. If indeed that it is their most immediate constraint and your value bomb solves it, yes, you give them that. But the
Okay.
process is still the same, no matter what.
Got you. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and Shelly said if you don't do a call, send them to the sales page. Absolutely. Right?
Okay.
So by the time you do this power offer and you do this application, right? You've talked to enough people here, right? So now we're moving into phase 2 where we're going to automate a little bit. Right? Now, by the time that you move into phase 2, right? You should have your power content running, right? We're sending cold traffic here. We're sending cold traffic here to your power content. We should have warm that you should be doing boosted post. And then up until this point, you were doing conversion multipliers top of funnel, right? Cool. We're going to intercept some conversations here. And so we're going to move your conversion multiplier, your fast funnel down here. And so now you should have your boosted posts, and we're going to replace your conversion multipliers with this power offer to application. Okay, now follow me. Once you're running this power offer straight to application to call per Jasper's question, right? If you're doing a power offer add straight to an application and getting on a call, what are you also going to have to do?
You have to
Remember,
block that time out to be able to take the call.
This is cold traffic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here, you're going to have to hop on a call probably for 60 minutes, right? Because remember, we're running cold traffic here. So they're 60 minutes. You're probably going to have to fight with some unqualified people. But you're going to have a lot of data. to do more content, right? And you're probably going to get really good at selling your offer, wouldn't you say? Like, I get so many people who come into my program and they're like, Laurel, I don't want to sell my offer on a phone call. I was like, have you ever sold your offer before? And they'll tell me no. I'm like, you need to hop on the call. Like, there's so many people who want to skip to doing no call. I'm like, no, you have to do the reps. Like, I don't take people off of phone calls until they've had over 100 sales calls. It doesn't make sense because you want to be able to hear all of the objections that people have to buying this. Because why? We probably don't know a lot of this yet. And so we can make our content better, right? And if we go back down here to our little ecosystem, if we've talked to enough people and we know their objections, we have our hot 7. We could pull all of our best boosted posts into the hot 7. The longer that we run this ecosystem that's L-shaped for Laurel, the easier this becomes. Then, when you're taking 5 to 10 calls a day, what do you probably want to do?
Scale back on taking the calls.
Friction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then we simply replace this power offer funnel with a VSL funnel that has a ton of friction. We do nothing to the ecosystem. The ecosystem continues to run. We just move the power offer into the hot 7 and replace the funnel here. And now we've got phase 3. But we already know the type of content that goes into our VSL because we've been doing power content. We know what our market responds to. We know what kind of freebie to give away. We've been doing value bombs. We know how to direct that, how to have that sales conversation because we've already taken 100 sales calls. We know all of the objections to put in this VSL. We know pretty much everything. And so this is why when you get to phase 3, it becomes incredibly easy to get results because we've already tested every message, every video, every angle, every audience. Did everyone follow that? Was that helpful? That's why I have you guys start with phase 1 if you're brand new, because so many people build these VSL funnels and they'll send like $5,000 worth of traffic, but they don't know if it's their landing page that's the issue. They don't know if it's the VSL that's the issue. They don't know if it's the pitch at the end that's the issue. You've already tested the pitch. You've already tested the content. You've already tested the freebies. You've tested the phone call. By the time you launch a VSL, everything's been tested. And now, whenever you push $5,000 through the funnel, you already have the ecosystem there to plug all the black holes. You can't lose. Tell me, like, can anyone poke holes in that? Like, how would you lose if you did it that way?
Laurel, can I just say, like, what the biggest clarity point? Well, first of all, thank you for that. And I'm going to take all these notes and go back and watch the video and really take it down. I think because my offer is already running and I already have students in it, but what the aha moment that just rung in my head is going through all of this it will help me to align what I've been doing like manually with the system because I've just been doing it off of my list and
Yes.
public speaking, right? So now I'm just creating this to align with what I was already doing. So I have to learn what converts in this medium the way that I know when I get on a call how to convert it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I believe it was Daniel, the guy a while ago with the fitness offer. I want to say it was him because he was in Lean on Laurel for a period of time, and he literally had his content Bible on the sales call when the client asked, what does working with you look like? He literally just read him the content Bible stuff and was like, well, the first phase is solving this problem, and we're going to do it with step 1, step 2. Like he literally like it turned into his, which by the way, guys, is the case framework. You see how like everything, like I am like training you guys to have every like thing in place, but but you see how the foundations, you take them and just apply them in every single part of your funnel.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, that was really great. That's why when people come to me and they're already running a funnel, I'm looking at the numbers. I can already, if I have data, I already can tell where we need to fix this. And most of the time, honestly, people are either one, getting off sales calls too soon, or they're handing their sales calls off to someone else too soon. Because how can you train someone to take your sales calls if you yourself can't even close a sale or know all of these things about your audience? Clara.
Hey, Laurel, my question isn't directly tied to what you just went over with Dana, so should I save it for later? It's about the script writing, so I didn't want to go off.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. You had made, sorry.
I hear your little baby.
Um, you had talked before about, when we write our content, going through the different lenses like time, sacrifice, effort, money, and then of course the other filters. And so I was doing that exercise with one of my scripts where it's like, hey, what's a different angle? And I was sort of playing around with ChatGPT. And what I started to find was, in the power content, one of your sections is outline your solution to fix this problem. Is it appropriate that that section more or less stays the same? My solution stayed the same, but it was really just my hook, my promise of value tweaking, like more leaning towards the time aspect. Those were the only things that were really changing, but my solution
Yes.
stayed the same, right?
100%. Yes, the solution,
Okay.
everything changes the same. It's just the wrapper at which you guys are doing the content changes, right? Like how many times have I taught the $5 ad strategy? I've used Anthony as an example. I've used Tina and Dan as an example. I've used so many of you guys as an example of the $5 ad, just changing up the wrapper at which I'm presenting it and the scenarios. That's it. But it's the same content.
Okay. So I was on track of like the hook is slightly leaning more towards about time or slightly leaning towards money, and then it's still segue into the same. Okay. Just making
100%. Yep. And I'm going to make a point here before I get to Mr. Mike here, because I'm seeing a conversation go on about what price point. Honestly, this doesn't even matter. Price point doesn't matter. Like, so I'll give you an example. So I had a student who was asking me questions in Messenger about Lean on Laurel. And she asked me the question, I've got a $20,000 product. Can you really sell a $20,000 product using Facebook ads or using, this methodology? And I said, it has nothing to do with the price point. Here's why, right? We're not using ads to sell things. Even though that might be how you guys look at it, I don't look at it like that. Like, and maybe it's because I came from the world of television. If I'm running a car commercial, which I used to do when I first started, I never had a car commercial guy come in and a car dealership come to me in my edit bay and be like, I demand to know what commercial you ran sold that car. Right? They don't run car commercials just to sell cars. That might be the overall goal, but what they're doing is they're running commercials to get their brand in front of the most people possible. And as a side effect, that sells cars, right? That makes sense, right? Think of us as doing the same thing. If we use ads to sell people on us, do you think the price point matters? Nick and I sell a $40,000 product in Messenger. Nick actually sells like $2 million products and deals and does deals in Messenger. He doesn't hop on the phone. Ads are not there to sell. Exactly. Ta just said, that's what their name says, Ta. Their brand awareness. That's all we're doing with ads. Like if you look at ads as a vehicle to deliver more content to a bigger audience. That's all they are. It's not the job of the ads to sell. It's us on the other end to be the sales mechanism. Where ads are not a conversion mechanism. They're the brand awareness mechanism. Oh, it's Dr. Tony. Ta. It's like Dr. Ta. But does that make sense? Like, who was I talking? Oh, Justin Demers. By the way, him and Sarah Tempty, if you guys don't follow them, you should. They literally, so they just joined Lean on Laurel. We're actually doing kind of a thing where they're going to do a case study of going through Lean on Laurel for me helping them sell this new offer. And now, Sarah and Justin are freaking amazing. They put out a lot of great offers, but the offer that they showed me yesterday is freaking mind-blowing. So I'll just kind of tell you guys a little bit and then I'll get to the point of my story. But they were talking about all of the stuff that they've learned from running the low ticket workshops and all of that fun stuff. And they were like, really, the problem that most people have is that they're trying to build a membership and they don't have an audience, right? They don't have, and the reason that they can't sell their low ticket stuff is because they don't have an audience to sell it to. And so most people are like launching offers the wrong way. And they came up with this new way to look at MRR. Instead of monthly recurring revenue, their new offer is the new MRR, monthly repeatable revenue. Because most people who don't have an audience can't put on a recurring like offer. Like most people, like they used my membership as an example. They were like, Laurel, you can sell a monthly membership because you have a huge audience of people that will buy it, but it's nearly impossible for someone who doesn't have an audience to sell that to. And so I'm telling you guys this story is because we got into the conversation of how important it actually is in utilizing ads as a tool to build an audience, especially moving forward. Like, I don't think that people utilize the audience building strategy of my ecosystem enough to realize how much of a huge asset it is. Like, do you guys ever see anytime that I'm posting an offer, I get like 600 people raising their hand to buy shit? Like, if I needed $10,000 right now, I could go make one post on my Facebook page and I would have $10,000 in hand before the end of the day. That's the power of building an audience and an asset. And so I want you guys to stop thinking so one-dimensional about this entire strategy, because as a side effect of running my ecosystem and selling your offer, you're going to actually build an asset that you can use over and over and over again for years to come. And that's one of the things that a lot of these big gurus, they didn't take time to do because they ran conversion ads all the time. They just were after the 2 to 3% of people who are ready to buy now. That's why their ad spend has to keep going up and up and up. What if I told you my ad spend has gone down over the last 2 years? Because I built this audience. And so I don't have to spend as much. Where all of the other gurus, they're running out of cash because they keep having to spend more and more and more because those audiences of those 2 to 3% of people that they're after, high competition. Because everyone wants the people ready to buy now. And so that's why a lot of times you don't see a lot of the people. There's so many people who I started with that are not even in the game anymore. I don't see their ads anymore. And I go to look and I'm like, they've gone off and done something else because they didn't take the time to do this.
Laurel?
Yeah. Hey, Quentin.
Hello. I'm starting from scratch right now with a new Facebook profile. And I start with Organic Foundation. But for me, it seems a huge work to add some new friends. And so, relatively of what you're just talking about right now, I can straight start with power content to build an audience. I don't need to ask friends organically.
It depends on what is your goal. Adding friends organically, honestly, is one of the fastest ways to get, because you have control over who you're adding as a friend. Yesterday I told you guys that I was going to tell you guys how you can like start building your audience and like actually start getting leads. I think, Quentin's question right now, I think is a perfect, transition into talking about that. And by the way, guys, these are still things I do. I told you guys yesterday, I get access to Facebook groups that people have paid to be a part of, and I go and I answer 10 questions that people are asking about Facebook ads. I don't make a new post. I just go. But I also make sure that when people visit my profile, it's a 5-second test, and all the 5-second test is if I went to your profile right now, within 5 seconds, will I know who you are and why you can help me? In 5 seconds. If I go to your profile right now and it's this one big long political rant, you think that's going to attract me as a client? Probably not. And so make sure that if you're doing this group strategy that your profile is super optimized. As a matter of fact, make sure you pin one of your most valuable posts there. Usually it's a 2-step. I like to pin 2 steps there because if new people are coming to my page and it's an easy yes for them to say, I want that, they're going to comment and boom, new lead. And I guarantee you, if you go into Facebook groups and you search, right, for whatever it is that you can solve, don't make a new post in a Facebook group. So do that. You'll get a massive amount of traffic to your profile, right? That's way number 1. Way number 2 is by far my favorite. So whenever I first started, I was like, I would love to get in front of more people. And so I made friends with people who were just starting as well, but were also building their audience. And so all of you guys make friends with 10 colleagues who are exactly where you are, and y'all borrow each other's audience. It's the easiest way to do it, right? Whenever I first started, there was a couple of people out. Naz was one of my. Does anyone know Naz? I forget what I'm gonna butcher her last name, but she has the bingeable Netflix series for coaches, right? She teaches people how to make a 4-part video series, and it's binge worthy, and it turns clients within 24 hours, right? That's her offer. I wanted access to her audience. Why? Because if she's teaching that, guess what her audience needs right after they build that 4-part video series? They need what I have, right? And so I went and just looked at colleagues who were on my level. I didn't go after Harmose. I didn't go after Dan Henry. I didn't go after all these people who were like, who the fuck is this Laurel girl? I went after the people who were trying to build their business just like me. And I was like, hey, can I come in and do a free training for the members of your Facebook group? That's what I did. And that's how Justin and Sarah and I were all part of Nick, right? Y'all probably didn't know that. That's how Justin and Sarah and I met. We were all clients of Nick Peterson. Nick Peterson's all of our mentor. Bet y'all didn't know that. And so that's why we're all friends. But through meeting Sarah and Justin through Nick Peterson, we were like, hey, our offers go really, really great together. Right? Sean, I didn't find them through their ads. We got introduced through Nick. We were all in the same mastermind with Nick. So yeah, Nick was their mentor too. Nick's a lot of people's mentors, right? Like, I mean, honestly, you know who Harmose calls whenever he needs something? Nick. Nick and Harmose actually used to live together. They were like roommates a really long time ago in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Yeah. Nick has helped a lot of people. Dr. Trevor Cashy, one of the biggest names in the medical space, he was his roommate as well. Yep, Nick. A lot of people, guys, call Nick when they need help. So I've been in good company for a really long time. But yeah, like those are right there 2 of the best ways to build your audience. And then I mentioned it yesterday. I used to go into Chamber of Commerce groups and just add people as friends. I would add people as friends. What's the first thing when you get a friend request? You go and look at that person's profile. Like I think people like, yes, ads will accelerate the process, but those 3 organic strategies that I just talked about will work too. I still do that stuff. I still clean out my friends list. I still do all of this stuff. I haven't like the activities that I do today are the same activities I did 6.5 years ago. Same activities. Nothing has changed, guys. I mean, I run ads, but none of my organic activities have changed. I still have 100 messenger conversations a week. I still do 2 steps. I still do everything.
And so to be sure, I want to be sure I understand correctly. This morning I try to add, I go in groups and I try directly to add some friend, but very quickly Facebook told me that I'm limited. So you never ask directly someone to be your friend. You let that you answer in below some posts, and you let them visit your profile.
Mm-hmm. And most of the people that I've already had an interaction with them through the Facebook group before I add them.
Okay.
Because
Thank you.
Facebook's looking for that connection. So Keith just asked a really great question. How do you manage a personal profile and business profile on Facebook? What do you mean? You can't run ads on the personal? Absolutely you can run ads on your personal page. Guess what? You could boost posts on your personal page for people who are watching all of your content. People don't know that. That's like one of my best strategies right there. People are like, how do you run it? You don't want to run ads from your personal profile at all because you can't retarget video views or anything from your personal profile. So that's a waste of money. The way that I do it is I boost stuff on my personal profile to the people who are watching all of my power content videos, who are visiting my sales page and all of that. Yep. I don't even look at my business page, guys. I don't even check my messages on my business page because fuck that. It's so much spam. Do I recommend that you check your messages on your business page? Absolutely. If you're just starting out and you need to talk to people, absolutely. But it's just become too much of a pain to me. I check all of my messages on my Facebook profile and my Instagram. Otherwise, I don't check them on LinkedIn. I don't fuck that shit. Am I missing out on stuff? Probably, but I get enough inbound on the 2 channels that I do pay attention to. How do I do what?
So you're ready.
So whenever you guys ask questions, I'm not picking on Shelly. Give me context, right? Because I don't know, how do you do what? Right? So, hey, you just said XYZ. How do you do that? Boost ads from your profile. Yeah, here, watch. Check this out. Fucking amazing, man. If you guys aren't doing this. I do it all the time. If we go here. Just go here, boost post. Watch this. By the way, do you guys, let me go to my ad account because I have all my Lean on Laurel students in here. Are you guys coming to Eve and I's AI call today? Eve is interviewing me, and I'm literally going to show you everything that I showed you guys today, but how I do it with ChatGPT. So it'll be it'll be super valuable to what we talked about today. So here, yeah. So look, I just go here, and I don't do Advantage Creative. I don't want this button here. No button. And look at this. I can do all of my custom audiences from my business page, my ad account. Look at this shit, guys. I can boost it just like this. By the way, that's how I do my boosted posts. I don't do my boosted posts on my business page. I do them from my profile. Because that's where I spend most of my time.
Laurel, I was just asking this question this morning. I sat there in the ad center. I was like, it's somewhere. It has to be. And I thought it wasn't. So you read my mind.
It's literally right in front of y'all's noses. It's on your Facebook profile.
So I
now
saw
you
the
can't
boost
do
post,
it that
but
way.
I went into that. And I was trying to find where I can find what's in the ad server when I go to my business page. But I'm going to go back and do this. I was asking this question to myself this morning, spent ages trying to find it. That I thought, oh, maybe it just can't be done.
Yeah, most of my clients who are in the fitness space, they're like, I don't do anything with my business page. I'm like, that's cool. Run your power content ads, let them run, and just boost it to your organic, your profile. And they're like, oh shit.
So handy. because I don't hardly use mine either. I just cross post to nobody.
Yeah, my Facebook business page, I use metricool and posts just go there to die. Although I get more engagement on my business page than I do on my profile because of I run ads, but I'm mostly active on my profile and Instagram.
This is brilliant. Thank you so much for answering the
Absolutely.
question in my head.
Yeah, so the call info is inside the $7 program. I didn't put it in on this one. Wendy. We'll do Wendy and then we'll do Mr. Mike and then I got to let my voice rest for the Eva call.
Hi, Laurel.
Hey.
Hey, so real estate broker. So I have a question about value bomb versus offer. So of course, like my ultimate offer is to either you hire me to help you buy a house or you hire me to help you sell your house.
Yeah.
So, but in addition to that, we have essentially like a cash offer solution that we can give a seller, and it's fast. Like a lot of times it's an instant. And then we also have an off market, like we can help you as a buyer get access to off market properties, or as a seller, you can sell your house off market. Do you think I should run those? Most of the time, though, ultimately, like the cash offer is more of a segue to get the listing because most people aren't really going to want to take that big of a discount. Would you run those more like a value bomb, or would you run them as a true offer?
Well, that is an offer. Right.
You would run it as an offer.
A value bomb is like a free resource or something. Like, so for instance, like a lot of my real estate and brokers, they'll be like, here's the guide to selling your house for the most, money in 2025 or something like that. Like it'll be more like stuff like that versus the direct, like, so value bombs are indirect offers, and like what you're talking about, like, hey, let me sell your house, that's a direct offer.
Okay. So you run them as offers. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Mr. Mike.
Laura, can you go back to sharing your screen when you were answering Dana and doing the drawings of the ecosystem, please?
Yep. Let's see. Okay.
If you go back to phase 2, please.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. So basically, phase 1 is power content, builds the invisible list, addresses 97%, conversion multipliers address the 2 to 3%. Once you have built a warm audience with the invisible list, you would retarget your conversion multipliers to that warm list. Having said that, if you're using power offers instead of conversion multipliers, once you have built an invisible list, would you retarget that invisible list with your power offers instead of conversion multipliers?
Yeah, so it would live down here in your boosted post.
So you do boosted posts that would do power offers,
or you could run it in your hot 7.
Because my understanding is hot 7s are content that you would run to people who have interacted with your power offer ads, right? Or with your website or something like that. So basically,
you could run it to your warm traffic. There are no rules. Like I run everything warm.
Okay, so if you're replacing your conversion multipliers with power offers, then it makes sense to run your power offers to your warm traffic as well, correct?
Yeah, because it's gonna either live here in the hot 7 or it's gonna live here in the boosted post.
Okay. And the other thing is the power content's primary purpose is to build the invisible list. So really, we are offering them a value bomb, but there's kind of an extra bonus if they interact with the value bomb. And that's like, if we get a conversation, that's the extra bonus. But the primary content of the primary purpose of the power content is to build the list, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So in that sense, let's say that you were to offer power content that may not solve an immediate problem with the value bomb, but let's say that offers an amazing insight that people have never thought about that, and it makes them think about the problem in a different way. Whether you have a value bomb that goes with it or not, or whether that value bomb converts, is less relevant because you're still building your invisible list with that power content.
Yeah, 100%. Like I've got plenty of students who don't put the value bomb element in their power content.
Okay, that answers the question. The last one, which is an overall comment, what I find brilliant in your ecosystem is that what you have done, think about the traditional webinar funnel. Ad, landing page, webinar, and so on. There are so many friction points, and you make the math very well. It's like, you start with a very high cost per click, and you end up with a very low number of people who have seen your ad. But what you do with your ecosystem, you take all the parts, in a way, if you think about a webinar funnel, the webinar is to educate people and to show them that you are the authority. But that's what you do with the power content beforehand without any friction whatsoever. So you have taken all the elements of a quote-unquote traditional funnel, but you have made it so that people can consume it without friction whatsoever, and then it builds the audience, and you can communicate with them over and over again through the retargeting. That's my interpretation of what you do. Does it make sense to you?
100%. How do you think we test the content that goes inside the webinar?
So in that sense, the reason you would introduce the webinar would be just because you have so much volume that you want to pre-qualify your
100%. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, totally. Yeah, man. We like rock and roll today. Did a lot of you guys get clarity today? Awesome. Awesome. I'm gonna a couple of different people. And then we're gonna wrap this up. Kathy, what did you learn today? That you're gonna go and implement.
That I'm gonna go back over the power content and rewrite my script for each property and go live and do them myself.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And then I want to make the ecosystem really specific, and I don't know enough yet, but a really specific, I wrote it down, for vacation rentals and be the expert in that. And I could shoot the videos for anybody.
Yeah. 100%. Let's see. Sandra, what did you learn today? What are you that you're going to go implement?
Are you talking about me, Sandra?
I am.
Okay. You helped clarify a lot for me over the phases. Phase one, you need to do all of that first. See, I'm in network marketing, so I'm struggling with exactly what my top.
You can stay in phase one. All of my network marketing clients, they stay in phase one.
That's what I thought, because I was trying to figure out what my ceiling was, because I don't know that network marketers are running videos and running webinars, and we're taught to harass family and friends. So I'm trying to get people away from that. So the two-step, I think, is going to be perfect, because we are designed to start conversations. So it helped me a lot with clarity today.
Yeah, and one of the best strategies that we do for network marketers is, once you have the ecosystem in place, we literally teach them how to run group sales calls. So that like all of the people who are watching the content, we get them onto a group Zoom call, and we enroll them into the network marketing opportunity via the Zoom call as a group instead of individual sales calls.
Yeah, because I was thinking about starting to do like a question thing, like you were doing for your members. You were having your Saturday thing. I was trying to do that online also. Just a Zoom call, free, online, answering questions. So I guess
100%. Like think about this, right? And I'll say this before I go. So I think this is relevant for every single person here. When you're in phase one, you can do live workshops and webinars.
Okay.
You're just not going to do it in the traditional sense of building this funnel. Here's what you do. Once you have 100+ people talking to you in Messenger, when you want to do a live workshop, you just go back and say, hey, I know last time we talked, you were having this issue. Well, I'm doing a live workshop. It's totally free on this date. I would love to see you.
Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. No one's commenting for my value bomb yet, but I finally have people subscribing to my YouTube channel, so I'm considering that a huge win.
I love that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you so much for helping.
Yep, absolutely. Well, you guys have an amazing rest of your day. For those of you guys who want to come to the call, The call information is in the $7 program. It's pinned in the featured section. And I will see you guys later.